Hey y'all, it is Prima with the Just Prima show. I am doing something different tonight, something a little more creative. Like I said, I'm doing a part two to the parenting. This week has been quite interesting. As I stated before, I have lots and lots of children. Parenting has been an eventful thing in my life. There hasn't been a dull moment since I was a parent, became a parent 30 plus years ago at the age of 16. It was interesting talking to my children, which you will hear from shortly. Listening to them talk about memories reminded me of things that I had forgotten. It was a happy time for us. It was times that my children had me laughing. There were times that my children had me crying or tearful, listening to some of the things that they were saying, or reminded me of some of the things that we had gone through as people growing up together. As parents, especially young parents, you grow with your children, you grow up with your children, and even as you get older, you continue to learn from your children, and your children help raise you also. I would say that has been my experience. I was a mother again, raising sons. It was interesting to hear my son say that you were mom and dad, contrary to what they believe. And there are a lot of women out here that say they can teach, that they are both the man and the woman. I do differ in that, because I can't teach them how to be men. Love you too. I cannot teach them how to be men. I could teach them how not to be like the men in my life, like the men that had hurt me before, or I can try to teach them out of my dysfunction, or out of my hurt, or out of my wishing and wanting. So I appreciated hearing them say that there wasn't a whole lot that I could have done different, because as parents, or me as a parent, there are times that I've questioned myself and wondered, what I could have done different, the woulda, coulda, shoulda, because when you raise your children a certain way, you expect for them to turn out a certain way. You expect you expect to see the good fruit more so than the sour fruit or the not so good fruits. And the not so good fruit. Tonight's show will actually be longer than an hour, a little longer than an hour, because literally talking to my sons and some grandchildren up until a few minutes before I went on live. So we're putting it together so that you'll be able to hear also how that turned out. My younger children don't have the same experiences or the same stories that my older children have, and it's funny because being a young parent, me growing up with them versus me becoming a parent again to my younger children in my middle to late 30s. I listen to my older children say, "Ma, you had them too young. You had them too old. You had them too old because you're having kids." Because I do have children that are in the same age range as my grandchildren. So I told my older children that no, I had y'all too young, and I had the younger children at the right age. I can say that being a younger parent growing up with my children, I was more intolerant, because I felt like I said it and I wanted it to happen and y'all need to do it now, and I had to do majority of the raising by myself. So that was definitely more challenging, because when having them, I was working on school, trying to get my education, as well as being a parent and providing for not one child but for four. In comparison to being a mother in my late 30s, I was definitely more patient. I was a calmer mother My older children would say that I disciplined them differently, like with the rod, where my younger children, I can just speak to them, and in speaking to them, I don't find it as necessary to use the rod, because maybe because it's only two of them, or maybe because it's such a large age difference between, well, 4 years age difference between the fifth and the sixth son. So they're like the only children, sorta. I don't know, but because I had two live crew as the older first bunch, it was definitely different, and my tolerance was different with the older children than with the younger children. I'm looking at one of my sons responding saying, yeah, I had a lot of rods that was used for the older children versus the younger. The older children also say that I'm too lenient on the younger children. They say that they get away with stuff and we would have got in trouble for this and we would have got in trouble for that. I don't know. They got away with a lot of stuff too. So I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I agree that they would have gotten in trouble for the same things. They just a different group of kids, and I'm a more mature mom. So I can say, I guess my younger children have an advantage that my older children did not have. Also, my younger children have a father that is present, that helps. So that makes life a little easier for me also. I keep changing my shirt, y'all, because I had to just make it do what it do today. You know, I want y'all to see Caribbean Life TV. I have on my work clothes, my scrubs, and that's why I keep doing this, because I'm kind of anal like that. Parenting has been fun. It has been fun. It has been scary. It has been challenging. I did not always have the answers. Like I told my children, I was not the perfect parent. Neither was I the perfect child. So I had to do a lot of learning as I went along. I don't think I was the worst parent. I don't think I was the best parent. I wish that I could have done things differently at times. I'm glad that I feel like I have been a friend to an extent to all of my children, meaning I have been transparent. I have been non-judgmental. I had an open door policy where I wanted them to come and talk to me about anything. My children reminded me that when it came to sex, that I expressed to them about practicing safe sex, and I bought condoms for them to use condoms. My children reminded me of fights that they had. They reminded me of things that they took from me that I was not, some of those things I wasn't aware of, and some things I was aware of. They also, I had a bar at home as they became teenagers, and I remember them taking alcoholic beverages and putting water or Coca-Cola in the bottles, and I wouldn't find out until later that there was a switch, until I got ready to make a drink or something later. I was big on entertaining. My family was, my house was the fun house. I figured because I had 4 kids, I could take 25 kids. So I would allow family members, children, and some of their friends to come. They could come the whole spring break. They could come the whole summer. It really just depended. So I loved kids. I wanted my kids to have fun. I wanted my kids to be kids. I did not want them to stress. Hello. I didn't want my children to stress about being adults. There were a few times that I had conversations with them when they became teenagers where I sat down and I showed them that, hey, these bills come every 4 weeks. They are due. And it's funny to hear them as adults talk to me and say, hey, Mom, you know, you told us, but we really didn't know. Or they wish that they could go back to being children when they just heard about the bills, versus seeing for themselves at this point how quickly those bills come, because they do come quickly. in listening to them in their interviews, I do feel like I did a pretty good job at allowing them to be children, because there were things that they said that they were not aware of. They did not know the days that I went home, got them fed, got them into bed, and went in my room and cried. And cried enough where I was like, God, again, this cannot be real. This, they thought that I was so strong. Like a lot of people in my life thought that I was so strong, or think that I'm so strong. I'm strong, but strong people also need, encouraging, also need, help, also get tired. And that has been my experience, me always being the strong one. So, in me being strong, I don't think my children realized I was human, or that I hurt, or that I didn't have all the answers, or I didn't have it all together, probably until they were teenagers or preteen. My children talked to me about when everybody went to jail, we were all separated, and I remember two of them talking recently, and they felt like, oh my, you could have kept us together, and we didn't have to go to the state, and the state didn't have to be as involved. But because I could not guarantee that my children were going to be where they were supposed to be, once the girl lied and had us all thrown under the bus, and we were on the news, the newspaper, the internet, like everything had gone on in the community, I could not guarantee and work that they would stay in the house, they would stay away from this person. So with that being the case, that meant that they did have to be under Department of Juvenile Justice custody, because there was no one that can guarantee they would be where they're supposed to be, and to stay away from this particular girl at the time. And like I said, from that point in 2007 until now, 2022, I have only had all of my children together for 4 hours of my life, and all 6 of my children, but all 6 of my sons together, but once, which was for 4 hours. And that, again, as I stated in my interview with Rose Solo, that it was for 4 hours, and that was the day of my mother's service that I was able to have all 6 of my sons together. My experience has also been, which is something that we discussed, that once they went to the system and the different things that happened while they were in the system, Department of Juvenile Justice was supposed to protect them. They were supposed to, I guess, help teach them, or help give some type of training, and help me as a parent until things were sorted out. However, I feel like it made matters worse. I feel like when they were around, when you're in certain environments, I feel like if you weren't necessarily a bird, the birds of a feather flock together. You learn. They think they're smarter. They think they're brighter, smarter than the 5th grader. They try to learn new tricks. They think they're smarter than you. So with that being the case, I feel like that added to the back and forth, and with them being in there, not being obedient all the time, or being resentful and upset about the things that they were experiencing, then that made matters worse, and that extended the time that we were away from each other, and that was very, very challenging, and has been very challenging for us thus far. I keep looking up because I'm watching the monitors, and so that I can know when we're actually going live. As I said, we will be going a little further. So it looks like so that we can show up the way that we intended on showing up today, based on this hard job this week. This week was challenging, getting all of my sons and a few of my grandchildren to talk, to keep everybody in order, to stay on task, everybody stay focused. It was challenging. So it reminded me of all of us being together, and as I told them, it did my heart well. Although it brought tears and it brought back not so good memories for us and also great memories for us. I am so thankful for the opportunity to share my life with you, share my parenting experiences with you. Again, me sharing my blood, love, and tears. So if and when, I'm trying to watch the cues, y'all. Sorry, but not sorry. I am dressed kind of crazy today, but it's okay. I am resilient. I know how to, make it do what it do. I am adaptable. I have taught my children that also. So please stay tuned. Please comment. Please give your feedback. Laugh with us, cry with us. I will be showing pictures of my children, pictures of me, and tell me what you think, of course. Like I've said every week, and I will be back in a moment. Y'all stay on, okay? And if you get disconnected, get back in, okay? Thank you.